Today we're going to tour 60 acres of prime hunting land right here in southern Oklahoma, just 15 minutes north of Madill. I can't wait to show off this little piece of heaven here. Hey everybody, Stacy Hesser here, your favorite realtor in all of southern Oklahoma, and today we are touring 60 acres of hunter's paradise. This place was spectacular and such a great way to spend my afternoon with the current owner and have him talk to me about his plans for his part of the property and just go through this. There's four-wheel drive trails going throughout all of the acreage out here, and right here you can actually see a gully that could possibly be dammed up to create an awesome pond. But this property's landlocked. Got to be upfront about it. But let's show you where it's at. So Randolph Bottom Road is north of Madill, and Madill is about a half hour east of Ardmore. So if you're coming from Ardmore, it took me about 45 minutes to actually get to the property. And at the bottom of that map, you can make out the Oklahoma-Texas border. So if you're coming up from Dallas, I would probably put this at about a 2-hour drive outside of Dallas. But it's only 15 minutes north of Madill. So you still have easy access to be able to, run into Walmart, or maybe you don't want to cook that night and you want to just go in for some restaurant food or whatever. But the property is located at the end of Randolph Bottom Road. On the little map, you can see a turnaround point, and just north of it is a bridge for the railroad tracks. That is actually where the current owners are accessing the property. It all goes west from there. But like I said, this property is landlocked. So anything between the property and the road is owned by the current owner of this 60 acres. You can see on here you've got a couple of pump jacks that are out there and road access to those pump jacks. That is actually on the south side here, and it's part of an elk reserve. So the access point to the pump jacks is all through the elk reserve. So in this view, you can see that there is active water running. We've been having a lot of rains here in southern Oklahoma, and there's no permanent creeks here. That's just drainage coming off of that elk reserve and moving through this piece of property. So unfortunately, there's no permanent creeks or ponds on this 60-acre parcel. However, with all of the rain that we've been having and with that gully, you definitely have an opportunity to create a dam in that area and hopefully create a lovely pond for everybody to play in. Maybe even plant some fish, whatever it is that you'd like to do. But coming up, I want to share with you several pictures of the wildlife that the current owner has taken pictures of. He's got cameras all over the property currently set up, and many feeders that are set up as well. So he's really been working hard to cultivate a healthy environment there for the wildlife to come and check out and hunt. So that was their primary purpose, and obtaining this property is really to truly hunt it. Lots of deer, and because it's up against that elk reserve, they had some escapees at one point in time, so there was actually some elk that were traveling around on this property also. There's also, of course, been turkey and wild boar. There's even been an occasional bobcat that's been found on this property. But so much game on here, it's just incredible. Picture, you can see that road. That is not an access road to this property. This property is landlocked. That access road is strictly for that pump jack, and that's accessible only on the elk reserve. The current owner did talk to the people, the owners of the elk reserve, and they are not allowing access on this piece of land from their property. Kind of understandable, since they have had some elk escape. So I can imagine they don't want people just driving on the property while they're out there. So the elk reserve has, of course, put in high fencing just to do everything that they can to secure their property and make sure those elk do not escape. So this entire roadway on the southern side of the 60 acres is completely high fenced. as well as the side on the west. That too is high fenced as well because it too butts up against the elk reserve. So they own quite a bit of acreage surrounding this area, and like I said, the 60 acres butts up both on the south and west sides of the property. Just wanting to show just the different topography of this property. It really has a lot of elevation change right here. And like I said, there is a creek that runs as drainage down into that lower gully, which is grazing land for some other property owners. But just coming around again, giving you a great view. Most of the property, as you can tell, is full of timber, but there are some wide open spaces to set up deer stands and feeders, which is all it was really flat. So the areas that are flat are really flat. But off in the distance, you can see that low land that's used for some cattle grazing by a different landowner. And that's just to the north. But off in the distance there, that is a bunch of public land for the Washita River. And it is just acres and acres of land that's all just publicly owned and will not be developed. So just to be fully transparent about this property, because I really don't want to mislead anybody, this land is landlocked. So the access point to Randolph Bottom Road is from the current owners. They own, I believe, more than 200 acres, and this is 60 acres that they have already surveyed off, ready to sell. But they will be maintaining access to Randolph Bottom Road. The other problem with it is there's a railroad track. So we don't currently have a permanent easement to this property at this time, but the current owner, of course, has no issue providing access. They've got roads cut in already, but there's not a permanent access point across the railroad tracks. So they are actively working with BNSF right now to gain that access point across the railroad tracks, which that's the only way that they can access the property. So they don't see that there would be an issue in getting that. But until they have that access point from BNSF, they don't know where to grant that permanent access or easement to this property. So it is in the works. It is something that's coming, but I just want to make sure that you all have a clear understanding of what it is that you're getting into on this particular piece of land. But let me tell you, it's worth it. It is just gorgeous going out there. So what you're seeing me fly over now, we're heading back over to Randolph Bottom Road, and this is a bunch of highline. This does not impact the property that's being sold. It's on one corner of the property for a very brief time, if it's even actually on the property. But the highline is not the access to this property, but I just wanted you to be aware that it is out there. And here you can actually see Randolph Bottom Road. I'm coming up to it, and you'll also see those railroad tracks just running right along the road there. So this property at present does require four-wheel drive to access. Like I said, we've had a lot of rain, so the bottom area here where you do cross the tracks, which is just underneath that bridge there in the upper right corner, you can make out that there's a bridge. You access underneath the bridge, and then the property owners have actually gated their access. So in order to get on here, you do need to give me a call, and I will help you out. If you are another realtor with a buyer, if you're acting as a buyer's agent, I just need to accompany you. But I would need to come out there to actually show you how to access the 60 acres. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoy this, and until the next time, you guys, bye.
Hello, how are you? I'm living on the moon. I'm calling from a telephone inside of a saloon. The only other person here left me